But let's move on now. Somewhere where there are seemingly no deals on the table yet is Iran. And it's come to light that Australia has maybe started getting off our backside, although it's probably a bit preemptive to say that. And we have, Albanese's confirmed that 2 aircraft were sent to the Middle East earlier this week as a precautionary measure under a plan named Operation Beach to help Australians who want to leave. Other than confirming that, there was very little detail about what other aid we would possibly supply. And this, I guess, is just yet more example of the fact that we have such a weak government who, when our allies need help, not just the US and Israel, but also the Gulf states that are being bombed by Iran, drone attacks, missiles, etc., we're not providing any aid even to them. The UK's deployed assets, Germany, Italy, many other countries, because they recognise this war is now broader than just Iran and Israel and the US. If you want to be a serious country and you want to stand up for our Western allies, you've got to be in the game. But we've just seemingly tapped out altogether. Well, we're not a serious country at the moment, certainly not with regards to defence. And, of course, the Greens are not a serious party. Here's their foreign policy spokesperson, David Shoebridge, asking the Prime Minister were there any Australian personnel on the US submarine that sunk a Iranian warship. Have a listen.
There was no credible threat to the US submarine, and yet in a cold and callous way, they not only sunk an Iranian asset which was thousands of kilometres from the theatre, but they left those Iranian sailors to drown and die. Will the Albanese government confirm that there were no Australian submariners on this submarine as it sunk the Iranian frigate? And if they won't, why not?
I mean, is that even a serious question? Was there one Australian on the US sub that sunk the Iranian frigate? Well, there probably was, because in November the ADF said that 1 in 10 crew members on US nuclear submarines are now Australians. And the reason for that is because our government has an obligation, indeed a duty, to get our men up to speed with the functions of nuclear submarines, since we're going to be spending the mozza on purchasing a few of them. And for him to expect that the government are going to give details about operational matters like that is also really just, it's not just the height of naivety, it's just playing political games, right?
Oh, and who cares? I mean, if there was an Australian on the sub, who cares?
That will be the subject of the next Sunday pro-Palestinian rally, right? They'll be up there talking about how this government is participating in the latest thing that's called genocide.
Oh, just get over it.
If there was an Australian on that submarine, good on them. That's something we should be celebrating as a country. We're training our naval personnel in how to operate nuclear submarines. They're learning from the United States. And the footage we saw of a submarine being able to blow up a frigate that was sitting above water, it's just incredible. To think Aussies may have been involved in that, stuff the Greens, that is a massive accomplishment.
Though, I must say, I wouldn't want to get heavily involved in anything going on over there. If we are asked to provide ships and these sorts of things, as we've been asked previously, right, and we couldn't do it...
I'm just laughing because you say you wouldn't want to get heavily involved. Australia couldn't get heavily involved even if we wanted to.
And this is part of the problem.
What would we do?
Right? I mean, you know, look, if they were saying boots on the ground, I would be opposed to that.
Yeah, totally.
But like we've previously been asked to help out in peacekeeping efforts with a warship, right? And we couldn't even do that because we've only got like 2 of them and we don't want to take them away from Australia, which is kind of ridiculous. So, you know, the question of how involved do we get? I mean, look, it's a hypothetical. We're not there. We haven't been asked to do it. If we get asked to do it, we can deal with that issue there. But for the Greens to try and make an issue out of something that doesn't even exist as an issue... Now, we've got people over there at the moment. We've sent some planes as like a potential option to bring Australians back if we can't get commercial flights. And I think that's fair. But I suppose the Greens are probably opposed to that as well, are they?
So we've sent 1 heavy transport aircraft. And then the second plane we've sent, if I've read the news correctly, is a mid-air refuelling
something like that,
aircraft. I'm not sure how that works, but that seems to me to be very scant resources for the number of Australians who are stuck over there at the moment. If they can't get commercial flights back, 1 heavy-duty transport plane is hardly going to do the job. And I tell you what, you talk about flying cattle class, that would be cattle class.